This girl was born with the face of a pig, all because her great-great-great-grandfather abandoned his lover, a maid, and married a wealthy woman from a suitable family. The maid's mother, a well-known local witch, cursed their family, decreeing that the next girl born into the family would have the face of a pig. The curse could only be broken if she found true love with one of her own kind. Fortunately, for generations, the family only had sons. Even when a daughter was finally born, she didn't have a pig's face. Had the curse been lifted? No, it was because the child's biological father turned out to be the family's driver. So the curse remained unbroken. Many years later, with a scream from Jessica, Penelope was born, with a pig's face. Her family was of blue blood, and even the slightest rumor would attract media attention. To hide Penelope's appearance, her mother, Jessica, sought help from modern science, but even doctors were powerless. To protect the family's reputation, Jessica announced that Penelope had tragically passed away. As a result, Penelope was confined to the family mansion, living in complete isolation. On her 18th birthday, Jessica began arranging marriages for her daughter. She hired a matchmaker who specialized in pairing nobles, believing that only the love of another blue blood could break the curse. However, no matter how prestigious Penelope's family was, every suitor was terrified by her pig nose and fled in fear. Jessica had to send the butler to chase down the fleeing suitors and make them sign confidentiality agreements before letting them go. But one day, something unexpected happened. The butler failed to catch Edward, who ran all the way to the police station. He claimed that Penelope was a monster with the face of a pig and fangs. The police, however, didn't believe him and even suspected he was mentally unstable.
If being ugly were a crime, I'd have to arrest half the people in this city.
This scene happened to be witnessed by a paparazzo. The next day, while the news about Penelope having a pig nose didn't make the front page, the story of Edward being a lunatic spread like wildfire across the streets. Edward, holding a newspaper, went to the paparazzo to demand the story be retracted. Coincidentally, he ran into Tyrion, no Lemon, who had previously tried to take a pic of Penelope when she was still a baby. The two hit it off immediately. They recruited Max, a down-and-out nobleman, to participate in the matchmaking event organized by Penelope's mother. Tempted by the promise of a hefty reward, Max put on a coat with a hidden camera and disguised himself as a candidate to join the event. Meanwhile, Penelope, wanting to end the farce as quickly as possible, stormed into the study room filled with candidates. Except for Max, who accidentally fell and didn't get a clear look at Penelope, all the other candidates, who had signed confidentiality agreements, were instantly scared out of the room. At first, everyone thought Max had seen Penelope and chosen to stay, but they soon realized Max hadn't seen her face at all. Instead, upon noticing the room was filled with expensive books, Max decided to steal a first edition to sell for money. Out of the 2,000 books, Max immediately picked Penelope's favorite, ironically the least valuable one. When Penelope caught Max stealing, she wasn't angry. She simply asked him to put her beloved book back and offered him a more expensive one instead. Max followed her suggestion, and the two agreed to meet again the next day. The following day, Max returned as promised. Penelope watched him play an instrument through a glass partition, and they played chess together while chatting. Penelope's company made Max feel an unprecedented sense of ease, and he encouraged her to one day step out of her room and explore the vibrant world outside. That day, while Max was playing the piano, Penelope finally stepped out of her room to correct his hand posture. Although Max was initially startled by Penelope's appearance, he didn't run away. Instead, he reached out to confirm if this was real. But as soon as he raised his hand, the hidden camera in his coat automatically took a photo of Penelope. Instinctively, Max cursed under his breath.
I'm a monster.
No, you're not. Penelope, no!
Penelope thought Max's reaction was because he couldn't accept her appearance. Heartbroken, she ran downstairs in tears. Meanwhile, Max stormed outside and found Lemon, who had been lurking near the mansion. Furious, Max ripped the hidden camera from his coat and smashed it to the ground. After spending so much time with Penelope, Max knew she was a kind-hearted girl, not the monster they had made her out to be. He warned Lemon to leave her alone. But just then, Jessica, who had followed Max outside, saw him standing with Lemon. Realizing how it looked, Max rushed back inside, desperate to explain his earlier rudeness to Penelope. Seeing Max return, Penelope clung to a final glimmer of hope and earnestly asked him if he would marry her. Max opened his mouth to respond but seemed to hesitate, as if burdened by something he couldn't say. In the end, he refused Penelope's proposal. Max's rejection shattered Penelope's last hope. Devastated, she ordered her family to escort Max out of the house. That night, unable to bear the weight of her despair, Penelope seized the moment when her parents were distracted and ran away from home. Jessica and her husband soon discovered their daughter was missing. Panicked and frantic, their distress was immediately noticed by Lemon and Edward, who were still staking out the mansion. Putting two and two together, Lemon guessed that Penelope had run away. He saw this as the perfect opportunity to snap a photo of her before her parents could bring her back. For Penelope, who had never stepped outside her home, the world beyond was dazzling and full of wonder. Wrapped in a scarf, she wandered the streets, exploring everything with wide-eyed curiosity. She even used a public phone to call her anxious parents and let them know she was safe. Later, she checked into a hotel using her mother's credit card. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window in her room, Penelope gazed out at the world. But soon enough, her parents tracked her down through the charges. When Penelope saw them, she panicked and fled through the fire exit. Broke and wandering the streets, Penelope stumbled upon a bounty poster with her picture on it. The bounty was posted by a paparazzo named Lemon, who had been trying to expose her true face for years, and Edward, a wealthy man who had once dated her and tried to prove to everyone that he wasn't crazy after seeing her real face. With no money, Penelope decided to sell her photos for some cash. She contacted Lemon and set up a meeting. Lemon was impressed by her courage. When he saw her pictures, he was speechless. The girl with the pig face wasn't the monster Edward described. She was actually cute. Lemon tried to convince Edward to cancel the release of the photo, but Edward insisted. He needed to prove he wasn't insane. And Jessica fainted when she saw her daughter's photo all over the media. On the other side, Penelope met a girl named Annie. The two quickly became friends. Annie showed Penelope around the city, letting her experience things she never had the chance to in the 25 years she'd been hidden away. To reassure her parents, Penelope regularly sent postcards home. But Jessica remained indifferent to her daughter's newfound joy, still obsessed with breaking the curse. Using the postcards as clues, Penelope's parents soon found her walking alone in the city. Not wanting to return home, Penelope ran away. However, with her face covered by a scarf, she struggled to breathe and eventually fainted. Annie and others rushed to help, removing the scarf and revealing Penelope's pig face to the public for the first time. When she woke up, she was already in the hospital, and Penelope quickly became a media sensation. To her family's surprise, people actually loved Penelope and saw her as a cute mascot. The public's acceptance gave Penelope the confidence to stop hiding and live openly in the city. Meanwhile, the media interviewed Edward, who had called Penelope a monster. But to Edward, no matter how loved Penelope was, she was still a monster in his eyes. His rude behavior damaged his family's reputation and caused their stock prices to plummet. His father, furious, forced Edward to marry Penelope to fix the company's image. Max also saw Penelope, who was now more confident. Though he clearly had feelings for her, his hesitation cost him another chance to confess. When Penelope returned home, she learned of Edward's proposal. But she didn't feel joy. She didn't see any love in Edward's eyes. However, Jessica pressured her, insisting that Edward could break the curse and that Penelope had no right to be picky. Feeling cornered, Penelope reluctantly agreed and began preparing for the wedding. On the other hand, Lemon, who had been trying to expose Penelope's appearance for years, gradually found himself moved by her bravery and sincerity. When he learned that Penelope was about to marry Edward, knowing how terrible Edward was, Lemon sought out Max, who genuinely loved Penelope. However, Max was not the blue blood he claimed to be. He was actually the son of a plumber. This was why he had hesitated so many times and never confessed his feelings to Penelope. Even if they were together, he couldn't break the curse on her. When Lemon realized he couldn't persuade Max, he went to Jessica and told her the truth about Edward. But to his surprise, Jessica cared more about the family's reputation and future than the truth or her daughter's happiness. The wedding proceeded as planned. At the solemn ceremony, the groom was so nervous that he couldn't even look Penelope in the eye. Penelope knew all too well that this man felt no love for her. His avoidance made her glance around the crowd. She saw the expectation in her mother's eyes, but more importantly, she noticed the looks from her friends, silently urging her to reject this man and bravely follow her heart.
No. No!
Penelope turned and fled back to her room without looking back. Outside the door, her mother's anxious voice pleaded with her to return and complete the wedding ceremony to break the curse.
Sweetheart, please! Please, we are one yes away from a whole new life! A whole new you! But I don't want a whole new me, Mother! Sweetheart, please! Please! I like myself the way I am.
It turns out that Penelope, being a blue blood herself, had another way to break the curse, by truly learning to love herself from the inside. With this newfound strength, she bravely left home and pursued a career she was passionate about. The butler, who had served Jessica all these years, soon left as well. When Jessica tried to give him orders, he used magic to silence her. It turns out the butler was the witch who had cursed Penelope all those years ago. Later, Penelope, now a teacher, found Max again. The two finally embraced their love and decided to spend their lives together, without any hesitation. The public was curious. Had the girl with the pig face truly become normal again? Like the rumor said, Lemon, the paparazzo, once again used his skills to track Penelope down. But when he saw her smiling brightly with Max, he put down his camera and silently left. With that, the movie ended. The 2006 film Penelope is a hidden gem. It blends comedy and a semi-fairy tale style while exploring themes of body image and the world of the rich. The cast is impressive, and I especially loved the ending. The key to breaking the curse wasn't anyone else's saving grace. It was Penelope learning to love herself. Feel free to share your thoughts about the movie in the comments, and I'll see you in the next movie.